The killing of Jermaine Dixon. A chilling morning in Queens. On the early morning of September 6, 2021, the South Ozone Park neighborhood of Queens, New York became the scene of a brutal, execution-style killing that would later attract intense police attention and a dramatic arrest. At about 7:50 a.m., Jermaine Dixon, then 46 years old, was walking toward his SUV parked near 132nd Street and South Conduit Avenue when a man suddenly ran up behind him and shot him multiple times in the head at close range. Dixon collapsed in broad daylight on the quiet residential street and was pronounced dead at the scene. What made this killing especially shocking was that the shooter was disguised in Hasidic-style clothing, long black garments, and a hat commonly worn by Orthodox Jewish men, and appeared on surveillance video to be pretending to work on a car on the street for some time before the attack. Investigators later said he wore a mask and gloves as well, making his identity difficult to immediately determine. Witnesses described seeing the disguised man acting as if he were tinkering with a vehicle before rushing across the street, firing the shots, and then fleeing in a white Nissan sedan. Who was Jermaine Dixon? Dixon was more than just a random victim. According to law enforcement sources, he had once been deeply involved in serious crime. Originally from Georgia, he was a former member of the Patio Crew, a gang based in the Flatbush section of Brooklyn. Decades earlier, Dixon had been convicted in connection with a 1992 murder and related drug offenses and sentenced to a long federal prison term. While incarcerated, Dixon's life changed. He became a model prisoner, earned a college degree, and sought a second chance. After serving nearly 30 years, a judge granted his release less than a year before his killing, a rare and hard-won opportunity to start over. Police believed the shooting was tied to narcotics activity or a robbery attempt gone wrong. Some reports suggested Dixon may have been carrying about $10,000 in cash just before he was shot, and that the disguise may have been part of a plan to ambush him for that money. But whatever the motive, the attack was cold, calculated, and public, and it sparked an intense investigation. The long hunt for a suspect. For nearly 2 years, the killer remained unidentified. Surveillance videos circulated in the community and to the public, but the disguised gunman eluded capture. Police and prosecutors continued to review video footage, tips, and other evidence in hopes of finding the person who carried out the fatal shooting. During this period, the case was classified as a cold and high-priority homicide, with detectives carefully retracing the suspect's movements before and after the killing. The unusual disguise, a Hasidic-style outfit, was not believed to reflect any religious motivation, but rather a way to blend in while targeting Dixon. Who is Ron Reer? The breakthrough came in late February 2023, when law enforcement arrested 53-year-old Ron Reer at his home in Teaneck, New Jersey. Background and allegations. Name, Ron Reer. Age at arrest, 52-53. Residence, Teaneck, New Jersey. Charges, first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and multiple weapons charges in Queens, plus related offenses in New Jersey, including drug and identity theft charges that emerged during the investigation. Authorities allege that Reer was the man seen in the surveillance video wearing the Hasidic-style clothing when he ambushed Dixon. The indictment specifically claims he approached Dixon's vehicle from behind, fired multiple shots at Dixon's head, and then fled the scene in a vehicle waiting nearby. Criminal history. Reer was not a stranger to law enforcement. According to reports, he had a lengthy criminal past, including a 1986 arrest in Brooklyn for robbery and weapon possession, serving several years in prison, a later manslaughter and weapons conviction that resulted in a 21-year prison term, from which he was eventually paroled in 2012. After his release, Reer reportedly remained involved in criminal activity, with the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office and the NYPD linking him to various drug offenses and identity theft schemes as part of a broader set of allegations discovered at the time of his arrest. Yeshiva World News. The arrest and court proceedings. Reer was taken into custody by police in New Jersey in February 2023. He was then extradited to New York to face charges in Queens Supreme Court. At his arraignment, prosecutors presented a 4-count indictment, including murder and weapon possession charges, and court officials set future dates for hearings. If convicted, Reer faces life in prison without the possibility of parole under New York law. Why this case draws attention. There are several reasons the Dixon killing stood out. The disguise. The shooter's use of a Hasidic-style outfit was not just provocative, it was strategic. Investigators believed it was meant to help the shooter blend into the diverse Queens environment while carrying out a premeditated ambush. That level of planning triggered major investigative resources. Surveillance footage video from the scene played a central role in tracking the suspect, showing the shooter calmly waiting before sprinting across the street and firing at Dixon, then getting into a car and driving off. Violence. After rehabilitation. Perhaps most poignant is Dixon's story, a man who had spent nearly 3 decades in prison, earned a degree, and was trying to rebuild his life, only to be killed less than a year after release. That part of the narrative sparked public interest and debate about crime, redemption, and community safety, where the case stands now. As of his indictment and arraignment, Ron Reer awaits trial on multiple counts related to Dixon's death. The legal process involves pre-trial hearings, evidence review, and potential motions from both prosecution and defense. Until a verdict is reached in court, Reer is legally presumed innocent. The broader context. This case is a stark reminder of how complex and layered violent crime investigations can be, combining community cooperation, surveillance technology, cross-jurisdiction law enforcement collaboration, and historical criminal records to piece together what happened. It also highlights how individuals with a history of serious offenses can remain enmeshed in crime even decades after initial convictions.